Hey, welcome to episode 112 of Scar Bearers. I'm Chris DT Gordon. As always, it's a blessing to have you here with me today. And thanks to Nate and Britton Barron for making me look and sound better than I have any right to be, though I'm not sure if they can fix all the stuttering I'm going to do. If you want them to help you on your project, you can reach out to them at Nate Barron. Well, folks, we're in the month of May as you're hearing this, and actually getting close to June. So school is close to being out. Maybe it's already out for some of you, but that doesn't mean that the struggles that teens and other young adults are gone. They don't go away for the summer like school does. So if you have a group or even a single person that could benefit from the attitude of gratitude, please reach out to me at chrisdtgordon.com. We can start a conversation about how TAG, as I call it, the attitude of gratitude, can serve them and help them increase their gratitude, positivity, and resilience. Hopefully Nate and Britton fixed that little trip up. Well, I am joined, and now you're probably wondering, I'm going to step back a bit. You're probably wondering why I'm wearing a baseball hat. I usually don't wear those. It's usually not my style, but this one is special by the lettering on top. Yes, I am joined by a fellow brother of Theta Chi fraternity, Dan Williams. Dan, how are you doing today, brother?
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you, Chris. How are you?
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. My pleasure to chat with you once again. I know I was on your podcast a while ago, and I'm blessed to have you on here. Now, I am a brother of Zeta Tau chapter of Theta Chi from the University of Michigan, Flint. Where were you a brother?
Delta Pi chapter, Indiana State, in the
All right.
in the armpit of America, Terre Haute, Indiana.
Just below the mitten, just below where I was. Exactly. So, and not only are we brothers of the same fraternity from different mothers, but we're also entrepreneurs, though you serve in a much different realm than I do. Can you please explain that?
Yeah, my career journey has taken me into the world of auto detailing, first as owning my own business for about 13 years, and then going to work for the chemical companies. And I'm at the second chemical company since I'm president of business development for Owner's Pride Car Care Products. And we launched this company 2 years ago, and we've had exponential growth right through COVID. Go figure. Who would have ever thought the world of auto detailing would be so darn resilient?
Well, you got to think people couldn't go anywhere. They have projects to do. Well, might as well work on the car.
Yeah, the people in the detail industry literally had the best years of their entire career over the past couple of years.
That's a silver lining if there ever was one.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
They're hard to find from COVID, but
yeah, exactly. So did you always have a lifelong love of cars or of detailing cars? Were you one of the guys that always painted over their Hot Wheels with your own colors or something, or where did it come from?
Well, I grew up with a single dad who was in the Navy, so we had to be pretty tidy. We'll start that way.
Yeah.
So everything had to be pretty ship shape, we'll say. And then as I got a little bit older, after I had played music and waited tables, I got into my mid-30s, and I did not want to go into restaurant management. It just didn't really seem like my kind of gig. And I had bought a new truck, and my friend had a next door neighbor who had a detailing business, and he did a sealant on it for me. And I watched him do it, and I thought, holy cow, this looks like something I could do. He let me ride along with him for a couple of days, and I had $1,100 saved up, which seemed like a really big deal for a guy who's like 33, 34 years old at that time. And I bought some equipment, and the rest is history.
Wow. And so you started with $1,100 and you worked on one truck. How did, this is, I'm guessing at the onset of social media or, using the internet, how did your growth explode like it has?
So funny that you should say that. One of the biggest hurdles I had of starting my business, and this is going to sound hilarious now, but it was when people were just starting to get cell phones. And I started my business in 2004. And I had the toughest time signing a 2-year contract for a cell phone because first of all, I thought, I do not want one of these cell phones. I don't need people to get a hold of me when I'm not at home. That was my thinking. And then second, I thought, well, if this business doesn't work out, I'm going to be stuck for 2 years paying this cell phone bill that I don't even want. Now, if your phone's not with you for more than 10 seconds, you have a panic attack.
Oh yeah, you're doing the self pat down, you're hyperventilating, and you might need a medical emergency, but you don't have a landline anymore because it's on your phone. So you're in trouble. But yeah, it is crazy how much we rely on those. And I'm really proud of you for having that, such an influx of growth, especially you said like in the last 2 years. And you said that you were a president of your current company, Owner's Pride. What prompted you to want to go into business for yourself in that way? I guess
so. With this, I'd sold my original business that I had for almost 13 years, and I went to work for another company in the same space. And I was a regional manager, and then a director, and then vice president of business development there. When this company had come along, they were actually my customers when I was at the last company, and they decided they wanted to start their own product line. They knew that I had a lot of connections and a roadmap of how to, which made me attractive to them. But this one came with an ownership stake, a 5% ownership stake in the company, and much better benefits, and just it was a game changer. Life has been, it's you just keep going up and up and up.
Yeah. Well, and that's great, and it just shows that it pays to know people. And to have
life is all about who you know.
Yeah, and it's all about having those positive relationships and being able to give to others, so they can pay back to you, and usually it's in a greater amount.
Right? If I was a scumbucket, they probably would have not tapped me to join their company.
This guy is awful. Let's hire him. Why not?
Yeah, and you mentioned social media too. This was what I had started detailing before there was Facebook, before all of this stuff. We didn't have it. The guys today, in really any kind of a business, with the advantages of social media, are so huge in getting your word out. And of course, on the other side of the coin, they come with just as an equal amount of nasty, nefarious, icky sides, right?
Yeah, exactly. Every side has two coins. Yeah. So, it's great to hear that you have had all this success, Dan, but I know that you've also struggled throughout your life. And it's, in Scar Bears, we often talk about our physical scars. You have more of a different kind. Would you mind sharing those?
Yeah, I was definitely I was a drunk. We're just going to start it just like that. So as I grew up, I just kind of figured part of being an adult was drinking, because my parents drank a lot. And I was just always was around that. My parents got divorced when I was 7 and my sister was 5. And I mean, I literally thought when you were an adult that you were supposed to drink, because that's just what my whole family has done. So the wounds were self-inflicted, but I really kind of, when I went to school, I ended up not finishing school because I was partying so hard, and the parents were like, we're not going to waste any more of our money on this nonsense for you, which made sense. And then I just rolled on through my 20s. I became a musician, and I traveled and played music, and I partied so darn hard that I got kicked out of the band that I had started, that I was in for 6 years. So yikes. It's funny to look back on now, and really everything that happens to you is what makes you who you are today. So while if you could go back and change things, yes, I probably would. But then on the other hand, even the terrible things that I had done, that's kind of what put me where I am today, and given me the attitude that I have, and to try to be more in service to help other people.
That is a great way to look at it, because a lot of times people will, give themselves those self-inflicted wounds, but they'll take the wrong lesson from it. They'll they will sometimes blame others for not helping them out, for for dropping the ball on picking them up or whatever. And so I applaud you for realizing, no, this is me. I have to own it. And it's brought me to where I am right now, and I'm just going to make the most of what I can.
And while I could get into the war stories part of it and make your podcast probably X-rated and unfit for general public consumption, we'll kind of stick more to the side of as I did sort of straighten myself out. Mm-hmm. And go ahead.
No. I was agreeing that I would appreciate you keeping it somewhat family friendly. Not like 5-year-olds listen, but you take it where you want to go. Let's put it that way. But I do appreciate your candor and not going down that road.
Yeah. So the first time I went to detox, which was a county-run facility, I kind of had hit my bottom and decided that's where I needed to go. And I stayed in there for a week. And then I got out and I went right back into my life of playing music and traveling in bars. And I quit drinking for maybe a month or two. And then the call of the wild was just too much. And I went back. And then I went for another year or so, probably, until I had hit my bottom. That I had been cut off by my friends and family. I had no job. I got evicted from where I lived. I was basically living in my van in Phoenix, and it was like May and June. And if you know anything about the weather in Phoenix, waking up with a really bad hangover when it's 100 and some degrees outside is just not enjoyable. Not at all. So I went to detox for my second time. And then from there, I lived in a halfway house for 6 months. And a really interesting thing had just happened to me on social media, on Facebook. I had made a post and it had a picture of my dog who passed away. And so I shared it and I made some comment about how great this dog Spike was. And the guy made a comment on the post and he said, Winston was a really cool dog. I used to let him out for you when you would go to work at Joe's Crab Shack. And so I was like, who the heck is this guy? Well, it turns out he was actually somebody who lived in the halfway house that I had lived in. And not only that, the whole thing, a lot of the 12-step program is based on a higher power, and here nor there, whatever anybody believes in is very personal to them. For me, that's not really my thing. So I was in a meeting, and the thing was you had to go around the room and everybody had to say what God was to them. So it got to me and I kind of went on my spiel about, man's greatest fear is death, and humans created religion as a way of kind of wrangling people up and controlling them. So anyway, I looked up and everybody that was in that circle in the NA meeting just was staring at me pretty much with their mouth agape. And the guy who was running it, his name was Jim. He said to me, if you cannot find the Lord Jesus Christ and accept him into your life, you're never going to be able to stay sober. Like, he literally said this to me in front of everybody. I remember thinking, that really stinks. And after that meeting, this fella named Andy Coates came up to me and he just handed me a book and said, hey, I think you'll really enjoy this. And it was called Rational Recovery by Dr. Jack Trimpey. And I started reading this book and it consumed me. And to this day, if I see anybody who's struggling with addiction of any kind, this is really, I suggest to them to read this book. And we'll kind of get into a little bit of why it's different. And it's just fascinating. But the point is, this guy, he literally changed my life. And through social media, I just reconnected with him. I mean, we are already reconnected and I didn't realize it. And so I called him and we talked, and I told him, I was like, man, more than anything that's happened to me, the book, when you handed me that book, it changed everything. Everything changed at that moment.
No, it's great that you're able to make that connection. And like you said, social media was able to help you make it possible. Okay, I'm going to go back to the book. What made, and I don't want you to spoil the book, but if you could just tell us one or two things that made this book so captivating.
So in lieu of being considered an alcoholic with that stigmatism attached to me forever, I just say, hey, I was a drunk. So that's one really big thing. And it works like this. A 12-step program, you have to go through all of these steps, and you have to really lean on a higher power for most everything that you're going through. With this, you have two parts of your brain, the inside of your brain and the outside of your brain. The outside, the cortex of your brain, is where you make decisions. So as a rational adult, I can say, I'm never going to drink alcohol again for the rest of my life. Never. Now, when you first start to try to say that, it's really hard to say, and you get these like butterflies because you just don't believe it yourself. But as an adult, I can make that decision. And then it has something called your addictive voice. And that comes from the inside part of your brain, the part that tells you you're hungry and thirsty. And it's going to do whatever it can to get what it wants. So, for example, if I were to think, June 3rd will be 24 years since I've drank. So if I'm like, well, it's been 24 years. So I think since I've made it this long, I can have a beer on this celebration day on June 3rd. Or this is New Year's Eve and I haven't drank for 20 years. So I should have a glass of champagne. That would be my addictive voice trying to trick the outside part of my brain into getting what it wants. So as soon as you can recognize that voice is just trying to trick the other part of your brain that you made a decision with, you can negate everything right there and just stop it. And I know it sounds oversimplified, but when I read that, it so hit home for me. And to this day, I mean, it's still, even if I get the inkling of a thought, I just kind of snicker and I'm like, not today, addictive voice, not today.
You should name it someone from a movie or someone in your past that used to torment you or something like. Not today.
Rotten Robert.
For us Harry Potter, for us Harry Potter fans, be not today, Voldemort. Not today. Well, congratulations on your sobriety. That's fantastic that not only were you able to get sober after that second time, but actually stay sober for almost a quarter century.
Yeah.
And it's obviously helped you gain focus for this endeavor that you're in now, Owner's Pride. What do how do you serve with Owner's Pride?
So really my big angle on this is I like to help. I do a lot of business coaching. So a lot of the guys, they get into detailing much like I did. It's not a huge commitment and startup. In fact, you could buy some soap and a bucket and a couple towels and you have a detailing business, right? So what they are missing 90% of the time is the business side of stuff. And so over the last 18 years in the industry, while I didn't start out that way, I've really learned a lot working for the companies and working with so many detailers. So I like to go in and help them with the fundamentals of the business, that they're using a CRM, that they have a sales process. Then we really can tweak it towards what they need. Some people may need to work on analytics and numbers. Some people may need to work on sales and marketing. Some people may just need their handheld to get to a marketing company that can do the work for them, or SOPs, insurance questions. None of them have a retirement. So all things that are the business side are really where I've fallen into my space, and I'm able to help guys avoid some of the pitfalls that there was nobody to tell me about.
That's something that I see, firsthand going through my situation, going from just a teacher to, and I don't say just a teacher as, being derogatory towards teaching, only a teacher, it is my main focus of of a professional effort, going towards starting to speak. This definitely been a learning curve, and so I'm still learning, but I have a much better idea now of how to go about things. And you said that some people struggle with one thing or struggle with another. Is there one overriding pitfall or struggle that a lot of people just have, or is it really that spread out that it just depends on a case-by-case basis?
90+% of the guys that I work with, I ask them if they use a CRM first, and they often say, "What's a CRM?" And then I say, "Do you have a sales process in place?" And by sales process, I mean a repeatable set of steps that you can take a lead from a lead to a repeat customer, and they just really don't.
Okay. All right. So
So
it's
I
that
mean that is
CRM.
the fundamentals that have to start out with everything. And until you get those two things in place, it doesn't even matter if you do marketing, because what if you get 50 leads, but you have no way of organizing all of those leads and no way to do follow-ups with them? Then you're just kind of spinning your wheels.
Yeah. And what is a CRM for those who do not know?
Customer retention or relationship management system.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the way to keep people coming back.
Yeah. You organize all of your,
besides the quality of your business, of course.
yeah. Well, you got to be able to reach into the pot and touch all the customers that have given you their email address. And that's I really do enjoy it. It's fun when you're talking to somebody and the light comes on over their head and something sparkles in their eye, and the guys who actually follow through and do all the homework that they get, it's fun to watch their success.
Yeah, that, as a teacher, I know the feeling of seeing someone grow under your tutelage. So
Yeah.
I can definitely appreciate and resonate with that. I see pictures of you at different conventions and gatherings. How often do you go to those a year?
Right now we're doing like 3 shows now that the world's starting to spark back up. So I do at least 3. Southern Detailers Conference in Lexington, Kentucky, a beautiful, beautiful place, that Lexington, Kentucky. I was just in Orlando, Florida for Mobile Tech Expo, where the Owner's Pride podcast won the Golden Mike Award for the industry.
Congratulations.
That was so cool. That was just so cool. And then SEMA, of course, which I went to SEMA this year, but we had pulled out because none of the international people were going to be able to go. And the volume was down, and it's a very, it's $80,000 to $100,000. So it's hard to get your ROI if only a quarter of the people are going to be there.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to think about that return on investment. That's a lot of, that's a lot of focus on that, because you're investing a lot. You want to make sure you get a lot out of it. So what is coming up for you in the near future, Dan, personally and in Owner's Pride?
Well, I'm going to have a 53rd birthday coming up here in just a minute. It'll be a month in the past. It'll be in the rearview mirror by the time this comes out. So
happy birthday, brother.
Thank you very much. I just went on it. We had a 20-year anniversary and we went to New Orleans on vacation. That was really, really fun.
Congratulations.
I
no
like
temptation there at all.
Not for me. Not at all. Not at all. In fact, you go down that Bourbon Street and it just bolsters why you quit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't want to have like that guy again.
Yeah.
And so go ahead. And you're gonna tell me about Owner's Pride. What's going on with, what's up in the, in the near future.
So we're just growing our installer network and bringing compliant warranties to professional detail shops, which is really, really incredible. Working on a DIY line. So anybody out there who likes to take care of their own car, my new line is this. My name is Dan E. Williams. The E stands for Eco Wash. Owner's Pride Eco Wash. Check that out. It's incredible. And but back to the people. If you know somebody who has an addiction or something, and this is the hardest part, you really cannot do anything to help anybody. And I know that sounds terrible, but it's so true. Until that person hits whatever their personal bottom is, there's just no getting them out of it. And it'll do nothing but frustrate you. And there's a step family member of mine right now who's having a really tough time, and I'm watching those people go through it and ask me to talk to him, and I'm like, until that guy decides he's going to stop, he's not going to stop. And it's really devastating on the people, the collateral damage that happens from somebody, but they do somewhere inside of them have the power. It's just by helping them, all you're doing is stretching it out. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask if you try to intervene too early, will that just perpetuate the problem?
Oh yeah, it'll just frustrate everybody. everybody. And I think maybe the one way that would have been, and thank goodness back in my heyday, we didn't have cell phones with cameras on them and stuff
Oh,
because
amen. Yes.
holy moly. But I think, and I've always thought this, if you video somebody who's just whatever their problem is and they're deep, deep into it, and you're force them to see how they are, it seems to me like that would be something that would change something. But
Yeah.
I've never had anybody actually follow through and do that
Yeah.
to let me know if it's true.
Yeah. Part of me wishes that no one ever had to do that, but yeah, that is an interesting social experiment to see if that would work.
Yeah, I have a friend who has a wife who's, she's a and I've told him to do the same thing, but he won't do it. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I think it would be a great experiment to see if you saw yourself in your worst that you don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
would be interesting. Yeah. So Dan, when you think about your journey and all you've gone through, the good and the bad, what is something that you at the time wouldn't think you would think of it as a blessing, but now when you look back, you're very thankful that you have that in your life?
When I was young, I could not imagine a Friday night rolling around and sitting at home and watching television or having a
Oh
fire
yeah.
in the backyard. And now that I'm as old as I am, it's like hard to imagine going out and being around all the people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that is that funny to say, but so true.
No, I totally resonate with that, because I remember my 20s and even up to the early 30s, I was thinking, oh man, I can't wait for the weekend. We're going to go do this and do that. And now I get, it's the weekend. All right, family movie night. Kids are in bed by 9. I'm done. Just crash.
How enjoyable is that, just going out in the backyard and messing around with the garden and clipping some bushes?
Exactly. So Dan, if someone wanted to find out what you're up to and learn more about Owner's Pride, where could they go?
You could go to ownerspride.com. You can find Owner's Pride podcast just by Googling it. It's pretty much everywhere except for SoundCloud. Dan Williams, DANN Williams. Dan's so nice, they N me twice on Facebook and
Nice.
on LinkedIn. And you can get a hold of me if you ever have a question, you have somebody, with an addiction problem. But I would talk to anybody about anything. I mean, I kind of feel like I've said a lot here that it's true. Like, you can't really go in and change something for somebody. They have to hit their bottom, whatever their bottom is. But I would absolutely be willing to talk to anybody about that and help you with any of the struggles that I could. And as far as car detailing, if you have a question about your car and you want to get your car cleaned, or you need somebody to put a ceramic coating on it, you can get a hold of me for that.
That's awesome, brother. Thank you for all those offers. I greatly appreciate it. Now I have one last question for you. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Yeah, I saw that was the thing. And did they just find a new bird dinosaur that was like the largest one? What's that called?
Oh, it escapes me right now.
It has like a 20-foot wingspan or something, like some
I heard
crazy,
something
really
about that. I
big.
have to do more investigation on that, but I had heard that there was some kind of new species they discovered. That is pretty cool and potentially frightening, if Jurassic Park ever comes to life.
Right. It's crazy that they keep finding new stuff like archaeology and reptile fossils. Even now, like you almost would think they would stop finding stuff, but it's a big planet.
Yeah, it's a big planet. Yeah, exactly. So Dan, brother, it's been a pleasure to get a talk with you again. I greatly appreciate you sharing your story with me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Definitely. So folks, you want to reach out to Dan, you can find him at the show notes below. I know he's willing to listen to you, whether you have a car problem or another issue, and he's always willing to help. If you want to talk with me about helping you increase your gratitude, positivity, and resilience, trust me, don't let me near your car. I'm the wrong Gordon for that. You can reach out to chrisdtgordon.com. You can check out what I have to offer in the speaking realm. Maybe go to my merch store, get a what is your favorite dinosaur t-shirt or a tag hat. You can also get a tag one sheet you can download for free and put on your wall just to help you practice the attitude of gratitude on a daily basis. Well, folks, again, thank you so much for being here with me. Please have a fantastic day. And remember to not only subscribe, share, and like this message and share it with as many people as you can, but also pass the perfection and go for greatness.